ana my MTN app no so na shasia ene ya.
MTN.
Like falling in love. I'm in the mood to roll something up. I need some drink in my cup. Hey, I'm in the mood to pour something up. I wanna go missing. I need a prescription. I wanna go higher. Can I sit on top of you? I wanna go where nobody's been. Have you ever had fun like this? We gon' roll up tonight. Black lights, spaceships fly. Unapologetic when we pull up tonight. Roll it up tonight. We getting pulled up tonight. We gon' roll up tonight. See far, at you see stars. At you elevate. At you meet God. I feel like falling in love. I'm in the mood to pull something up. 'Cause we gon' roll up tonight. What's in these four walls? You sexy, my love. Don't miss this roll call. As you hear a wood. Show up. Pow up. You Mr. Nasty. I clean it up. Go where nobody's been. Have you ever had fun like this? I wanna go missing. I need a prescription. I wanna go higher. Gonna sit on top of you. We gon' roll up tonight. Roll it up. Black lights, spaceships fly. Unapologetic when we pull up tonight. Roll it up tonight. We getting pulled up tonight. We gon' roll up tonight. See far, that you see stars. That you elevate. That you meet God. I feel like falling in love. I'm in the mood to pull something up.
Feels good. Love 99.5
Sexy product on my body. Boy, you got it. Hit them hydraulics while I ride it. Got me acting hella thotty. So excited.
Alright, so music title Cuff It. It's music from Beyonce. And listen, what's the smile on your face for?
I'm happy. I mean, today is Thursday. So
Remove that thing. We are live on Facebook. I beg you. Thank you. But you saw that video I sent you.
Yeah. I was
Beyonce.
shocked.
You're shocked, yeah.
I mean, but mistakes do happen, you know.
Do you think it was a mistake?
I think so. I think. I mean, she wouldn't have intentionally exposed herself in that manner. But what can you do? It's a chance of a lifetime for some too. So.
Listen, thank you very much for staying with us. This is Love 99.5 FM. And yesterday we began a conversation as we talked about, sugar sweetened beverages and its dangers on our lives. Now, we made you aware that, for example, when it comes to sugars, they are 10 times more addictive than cocaine, and they are responsible for over 1/3 of adult deaths here in Ghana because of the non-communicable diseases that they bring along. So we talked about hypertension, diabetes, we talked about some cancers, some heart diseases, and many more. So that was for yesterday, and it has to do with sugar sweetened beverages. Now I know some of you, buy some of these drinks and then you'd want to mix them up with water, pour water in there. Our experts who joined us yesterday said, listen, yes, you might dilute it, but once you consume that whole can of that carbonated drink, you have still ingested all the sugar content in it. Now we're told that when it comes to, for example, the child or children, they need about 60 spoonfuls of sugar.
2, they don't need any.
For 0 to 2, they don't need any sugar at all. For 0 to 2 years, they don't need any sugar at all. 2 to 18, you need about 60 spoonfuls. Adult men will need about 9, not beyond 9. But unfortunately, these carbonated drinks that we have on our markets, these sugar sweetened, beverages that we have on our markets, they have way beyond the acceptable levels. I asked a question yesterday, that's why we still have them on our shelves anyway. And you know the answer we got. Mm-hmm. Today, I want to talk about foods. And, some foods that we eat where these spices are, endangering our health. And if you listened to us yesterday from the very beginning, I was asking a question as to what happened to akoko mesa. When I was young, if my mom was going to prepare chicken soup or even stew. To steam the chicken, she would just go and pluck some akokomesa. They call it. Is it the basil?
It's basil. Yeah.
The basil. Okay, basil. Yeah. And then she would just wash it nicely and put it on the chicken with salt, with some ginger, with some garlic, and the aroma itself alone was so welcoming and so inviting. This time around, all we know is using refined foods or processed foods or spices that have been processed, and we pour them on it. You go and get a nutmeg, and that was a nut. Yes, the name is nutmeg. This time around, we have them in containers. They are not nutmegs. They are what? Powdered megs. Let me put it that way. They're powdered megs.
With additions.
With other additives in there. Leosani, do you remember that titino? If they say chicken, the chicken might have, walked to and fro on the compound of the house. We feed it. It feeds itself. Takes other, leaves for medicinal purposes and all that. They ate so many things.
Yeah,
they took about nine weeks and more. Some of them even beyond a year.
Yeah.
9 months.
9 months to a year to grow well. This time around, 3 months or even less.
Yeah.
Now, yes, akoko no waso you bet me. And akoko that we're talking about say when you know a bit you know. The akoko is obese.
Yeah.
The akoko itself cannot work properly.
Yeah.
And the akoko, when cooked and prepared in a soup or a stew,
No flavor.
and that's what we're going for.
Yeah.
So this morning, like I said, we want to talk about refined spices, processed foods. We want to concentrate more on the salt. Listen, if you love salt, and I went out with this guy who's looking at me. Yes, this guy. We went to a place to eat banku and okro. That banku and okro was so nice. And I'm talking about Eugene Osei too. So we went to this joint to eat the banku and okro. The salt in the soup was fine by me. And then Eugene was telling me the maintain income. They started adding salt to the meal. I was saying, but to my taste buds, the salt content at the time was good. So I asked myself, why are we so much into salt? It might taste nice, just like the sugars, but has consequences. We'll be talking about salt intake, the dangers. We'll be talking about oil intake, the dangers, the spices that we take and its dangers. And glad to announce to you one more time that our guests are with us in the studios of Love 99.5. They joined us yesterday. Professor Reginald Adjetianan. And Adjetianan brings to mind one time a dancer, don't worry. But this professor is, you was so okay. But this prof is an associate professor with the Biochemistry and Biotechnology Department at the KNUST. He is here with Dr. Charles Apre, he's also a senior lecturer at the Department of Biochemistry and Biotechnology, KNUST. Gentlemen, good morning to you one more time, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Good morning, David. Thanks
we enjoyed your conversation with you yesterday. I went to some places yesterday to do a few things, and many people said to me that Charlie, they enjoyed the conversation. What I asked them is what I told you a while ago, as to whether they'll be able to stick to the lessons learned like glue. And the response I got was that Charlie, after 2 weeks or 3 weeks maximum, we're back to our old ways. And that's quite disturbing and worrying. Cut down the intake of the sugar sweetened beverages out there. It is killing you.
That's it.
Say again?
That's it.
It's killing you.
But David, have you realized that when you take those drinks, it kind of gives you a social status here?
Oh yeah.
After you enjoy your fried rice and you have that one box of that drink, there is one particular one. It starts with C and ends with S.
Fine.
Yeah, people love it. You think so no, and I just say, oh, yeah, guy.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
That is why people like them are dying earlier, and the poor ones are growing longer because they cannot afford it.
Yeah.
So they are doing the natural stuff, and they are healthier. I mean, so you look at somebody who is from a poor background, somebody who doesn't have much. So look at the Afiakoko and the Potriakoko.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Charlie, gentlemen, once again, good morning.
Good morning, David.
Listen, if you have any question about food intake, the nutritional benefits, anything about food, these are the experts. They've done all the necessary researches. They understand nutrition. They understand food. And they have all the answers for you. So 055-1111-995 is our WhatsApp number. Anything about food. Even if it's for a pregnant woman, if it's for a newborn baby, if it's for somebody above the age of 80 years, you want to live longer, stay healthier, anything about food, let's talk about it. But I just want to again ask you this. tete spices like the kokomesan, the dawadawa,
Surisa,
the surisa, the famusa,
pepper.
those ones compared to the ones that we have in containers right now, which one do you prefer? So, gentlemen, I'm glad to have you guys with us again because they say what you eat is what you are.
Yeah.
So, if you eat junk,
You become junk.
and if you eat healthy and well,
Then you are healthy.
so
and
when
well.
it comes to food, let me start by asking this question. When it comes to food, what do you make of the food that we have currently that are being served? Be it when we are cooking ourselves at home, or going to the restaurant, or going for weddings and we being served. What do you make of the food that is out there? Let me start with you, Dr. Apri.
Thank you very much, David, for this question. And as you rightly said in your introduction, our foods are gradually becoming highly processed.
Okay.
That's the first term I will use.
Okay.
Like you've rightly put in your intro, in time past, we used to mostly prepare a lot of our food from the scratch using what we call the natural spices, as you put it. The challenge has been over the years that now there's a lot of urbanization, now there's a lot of convenience all around. And so we've sacrificed the traditional way of cooking because of the urbanization and then also for the love of the convenience. Now, the challenge with this highly processing is that I want to talk about sodium first. Sodium is one of the minerals that is needed by the body. And research has proven that the total sodium, the total amount of sodium we need in our body is about 2,300 milligram averagely. And even that, the 2,300 milligram, the body just needs around 200, 300 milligram for daily activities. Now, the challenge with sodium is that the moment you start over processing our foods, what it means is that we are going to get a lot of sodium in this food that is highly processed. That's one of the challenges. The other challenge we also have is that most of these spices, as you put it, once they are bagged, they are put in the bottles and all that. It means that there are some other what we call preservation or preservatives that are added to this. And I must put across that most of these preservatives are also sources of sodium. And so in your introduction, when you said you ate something, sometimes we think that the sodium is only the salt we are eating. But the sodium is not coming from only the salt you are eating. Even though even the salt you are eating are not generous amounts, you are overeating the salt. Another thing we should also take note of is that the curing agents, the wetting agents, the anti-caking, all these things that we add to the food are also rich sources of sodium. At the end of the day, our sodium intake far exceeds what the body needs. And once your sodium intake far exceeds what the body needs, that is hypertension, high blood pressure.
and so
course,
our food, of course, will lead to other diseases like stroke,
disease conditions,
and of course death.
Exactly.
So let's talk about spices, because oftentimes when people are cooking, they think that for the food to smell nice or maybe taste nice, they have to fall on spices, and therefore add all manner of spices. Now, I'm talking about current bottled canned spices, where unlike before, I was mentioning the cucumbers, we were talking about the natural nutmegs, the winters, the peppers, and all that. What would you say are the essence of what do you call it, spices? Are they medicinal, or they just give taste to the food, or the aroma that we're looking for? What's with spices that makes us use them?
Okay, so the natural spices that our forefathers were using, they had these people that came before us, they had some knowledge that we don't have.
Yes,
because the natural spices, even though generally people use them for flavors and for flavoring and enhancement, they were also medicinal. And when you learn about them, the cumins, the basils, so they are spices and herbs. The ones that are of leaves nature, like the akokobesa and all that, the basil, they are the herbs. But the ones that are the nuts and then the seeds, like nutmeg and ginger and garlic, they are more like the spices. Now together, apart from the flavoring, they were also of medicinal nature, and so research has shown that some of them have anti-inflammatory effects, some of them are antioxidants, so they reduce damage of cells in the body, and some of them actually had antiviral and antibacterial effects. So basically these people who came before us knew something about them and were using them. But now with the new ones, the artificial ones, and of course because of convenience, people wanted to now have them in a way that they can use them anytime they pick, rather than maybe milling or yamming and all that before you have the thing. And so they decided to powder them and put them in bottles. But unfortunately, it is not just the spice or the herb that's in the bottle, but many other things that have been added, and mainly they are the monosodium glutamate and many other flavor enhancements that they have added to them, and that is the problem.
Now, so you said artificial ones.
Yeah.
Is that to suggest that? Okay, so let me rephrase the question. What is the percentage of natural herbs or spices in these artificial ones that you mentioned? Is it possible we can know?
Yes. So the active ingredient is in there, but like I initially said in my introduction, for them to be able to last on the shelf, we will have to add what we call the preservatives.
Okay.
So why we are saying they are not artificial is that they have a lot of preservatives in there.
I got that bit. What I'm asking is, when it comes to let's say we have bottled nutmeg, and they add the preservatives. What is the percentage of natural nutmeg in there, and what are the other percentages of the MSGs and co's that are in there? Do we know?
Let's put it in perspective. Even if these other preservatives are in smaller quantities compared with the natural one, these other preservatives, the quantities that should go into humans should be very, very little, or even not at all.
Okay.
So just by adding them, make the thing artificial.
Okay.
So they can pick the nutmeg and then get a whole, let's say 500, half of the bottle, and the rest are preservatives. And the nutmeg still is the larger proportion, but the other preservatives that are added spoils the whole thing. It shouldn't be there.
It shouldn't be there at all. And if you say it shouldn't be there at all, why do we pass it by FDA and other bodies for it to be on our markets then? It should not be there at all. So why do we approve of them to be sold?
So let me come in. So one of the things, if you read most of these, most of these quotes, most of these preservatives, of course, the FDA, the US, I'm referring to the US and all that, they are not banned substance. They are not banned. Technically, they are not banned substance. There are substances that can be eaten. That's why they are in the food. If it is banned, of course, our FDA will not allow it in. Only, as we are saying, only challenge is that the quantity that the body desire or needs is very little and limited.
That amount is little in there and is creating problems for our health. Why do we allow that amount to be in there still?
Well, so we do, because of course, like I indicated to you, in nutrition sometimes, and even in general health, sometimes you want to balance the effect of your ability to preserve. We've already discussed about the fact that this preservatives is what is making that spice stay on the shelf over a period of time. And definitely, there's a group of people who would need some of this, or who want to use some of this, because for some reason they're not ready to go to the backyard to plug the basil and all that.
But it's causing harm to us, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Dr. Apre, will you use these processed spices?
No, in my house we don't use that.
You don't use that?
Yes, we
Why?
don't use that. Well, I think the reason is we know as a family. My wife knows about
Exactly what I'm talking about. The dangers that it poses.
So this takes us to the food environment that we talked about again, and this is why regulation must be in place, because you see, what people have access to, what people can see, what people can afford is what they will buy. Just like we talked about the SSBs yesterday. Sometimes SSBs are cheaper than water. A bottle of SSB can be 1 cedi 20 pesos. Some of them used to be 1 cedi per, and all those slogans. And the bottle of water is 2 cedis. So somebody will say, but this is food and a drink, and this is water, so I'll buy this. So the food environment is a problem. And so, like you're saying, I think that when it comes to these artificial spices as well, they must be strongly regulated.
Why do you think
we are not regulating?
Exactly.
Because we signed up to a WTO agreement.
Yeah. World Trade Organization.
Exactly. You sign up to the agreement and you don't discriminate. So the message out there is that put the knowledge there and let people make their decision.
Yes. But again, what is the challenge? What is the difficulty? Why can't we? We've cemented, we've tiled almost every surface where the Acokomesa can grow. And I ask myself, what is the difficulty whereby I cannot pick a nutmeg, the nut itself, and then grate it myself? Why can't I just take what do you call it, the ginger, and peel it, not the whole thing, listen, because some of the back I'm told is medicinal, and then grind it in apotoria with the other things that we're talking about, and use. Why can't we do that?
I think the urbanization he spoke about is one, because as you urbanize, you have very few places with bare land to do something on. Then the other thing is we talked about was the convenience, where maybe you are not the one cooking, maybe your wife is cooking, she's as busy as you are, she feels that she must have something conveniently to use. But then also we must be concerned about our health, and so people should decide that, look, in spite of urbanization, in spite of the need for convenience, my health comes first. Okay, so and I'll do something about it.
If your health comes first, we can control these things at home, because we are cooking. We can monitor how much spices, even if they are artificial spices, monitor how much we're putting in there. How about when we go out there to eat? To the parties, to the weddings, to the funerals, to the seminars and all that. How do we know what we're eating?
Exactly. So that's the biggest problem. Of course, like we already indicated to you yesterday, we feel that, and there's a news article on BBC about 3-4 years ago. No, about 6 years ago, if I remember. It's a Ghanaian embraced CVDs, the very day they embraced one of these multinational food chains. I don't want to put the name out there. And so the knowledge is there. We know that these food chains, or these outside foods, especially the ones you are picking from the supermarkets and the in quotes, you know what I'm referring to, are highly processed. And as I indicated to you in my intro, the thing about highly processing foods is the fact that it's not only the salt and the spices you are putting in there. The more you are processing, the more you are sacrificing the healthier nutrients, and the more you are introducing the unhealthy nutrients. And so the difficulty is that out there, some of these foods are not labeled. So there's no label on it to pick it up and say that, well, I'm buying a fried rice here, and this is the amount of MSG, this amount of salt that has gone into it. We don't label these things. And so what it means is that you would eventually will have to then control the amount you are taking in.
Or avoid
it. And what breaks my heart is that even when it comes to the fried rice, the sparks, and all that, you realize that they put a lot of soy sauce. And the soy sauce that they are using, ask myself, I'm not in the kitchen with them, and they're pouring the soy sauce on the food. Plain rice is white. When they bring a fried rice, sometimes more than brown. I need it's a certain color.
It makes it look good.
Yeah, flavor.
It makes it what?
It makes it look good.
It tastes good.
Yeah.
So it's coloring and flavoring and flavor enhancement. So sometimes these spices will make something else that is in the be enhanced. So that's what is there. It's color, and then flavoring and flavor enhancement, and monosodium glutamate is one of them.
And the last one you didn't mention, and diseases.
And of course the soy sauce. In fact, if you look at the food labeling, it's MSG. It's basically MSG.
But MSG are banned, aren't they?
No, in the US
it was a white, pure one that was banned, and then people found ways of now adding them as ingredients to the products that they are making.
What do you eat when you wake up? Today, will you go for some fried rice at some joint, or will you take some spaghetti with something?
And I want to mention, when you talk about the street foods,
you talk about that shortly for me. I just want to engage with my listeners, Kakra. So picture this: you want to eat some fried rice, yeah? Cool. The rice has been cooked. Sometimes they use some amount of salt. We'll be talking about salt shortly. And then once the rice is prepared, some of them, when they have been prepared their rice, they pour oil in it, and then they cook the rice. Once the rice is cooked, then they say they want to fry it. So they add more oil, and then later they add the soy sauce, and then they add other ingredients, the other spices, cubes and all that. All right? Then they put it aside. Don't forget that the chicken that you're going to eat with that fried rice went through a similar process. So they cooked it with salt, with the cubes and all those things. And they haven't done that, then they add other stuff to it, and then they fry it in oil. They put it on the fried rice for you. You want to add some sauce. Okay, so the sauce to go through a similar process. So one meal you want to eat, you might think that you're going to be having some nutritional meal. You're eating sickness and diseases. That's what you're ingesting. That's what you're eating.
Absolutely.
Why would you do this to yourself? And they don't come cheap. They are very expensive. So you pay for expensive meal, and then use some big money to go look for cure or treatment as well. Aside from the money you're spending on treatment, the pain you go through, and then the other things you go through. It is crazy. So join us on Facebook on LUV 99.5 FM. 05511119995 is our WhatsApp number. So join us on WhatsApp asking questions. 05511119995 is our WhatsApp number. We'll be activating the phone lines in a bit, but be guided, be mindful of what you're eating out there. I'm happy you say you want to talk about the street foods. But when you talk about it, land on what we should be looking out for. How do I know that the meal I'm eating has too much spices that could endanger my life? So what about street food you want to talk about, and what should we be looking out for?
Okay, so with the reason why I mentioned the street foods, and here I'm even talking about our local dishes that we know about, that we buy on the street. Because sometimes when you go into as we talked about processed food, and we're talking about the ones that are like ready to made from supermarkets and from these big corporations, like the burgers and all that, we feel that our foods, our local foods, are spared. But even the local foods, the way they prepare them on the street and sells them in polythene, or even at when you say I'm going to buy outside, let's go and stand by the street and buy. It's different from how they are prepared at home.
Public toilets.
So by gutters, by public toilets, and the ingredients they put and the amount of the spices they put are far, far, far beyond what we do at home. That is why they taste nicer. They taste nicer, because when you go to the streets, you will say, oh, the wache at the street is nicer than the wache at home. It's not the same.
This guy will tell me, I have found a new joint, so a new restaurant. The jollof debut, the jollof and aponchi debut, spices and corn.
Spices.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what you like.
It's not a natural taste again.
Let's make some money, and then we'll talk about salt intake, and then you run us through the dangers of salt intake. Because, like I told you a while ago, I went out with this young man. My taste for the salt in the meal was fine. He kept adding salt, half an hour there. What has he done to himself? We'll talk about that shortly.
So people are winning big on 519 mobile just by dialing *959#, selecting the game of the day, whether it's Monday special all the way through to Sunday Asida. But if you don't know what the rundown is with this, Nick, let me tell you, your winnings are going to be paid via your Momo. So when you hear the sound ding on your phone, it means that your girlfriend, when she finds out, is going to start demanding for you to buy the pomade for her skin, the perming cream for her hair, the Brazilian wig, and all that. Your boys are also going to be on your neck to buy the booze for the weekend, and then your money is just going to go away. So please keep it on the hush when the message hits your phone, because you have won from 590 mobile. But remember to stay responsible all the time, and this is not for persons under 18 years old. 590 mobile at that 17.
But let's talk about how you can protect yourself whilst you go to sleep, or that business that you have. Let's talk about the right doors for that business you have, and let's go straight to Weedy Locks. All right, Weedy Locks. Their doors are from Israel. They are Israeli doors. They have internal and external doors. Now these doors are elegant, they are affordable, they are durable. It has a gladiator locking system, and what I mean by that is that 13 bolt locks, 13. So they have this metallic stuff in there, 13 all around. So when you lock them, they go up and down and sideways. So you know you have security when you lock them. Now these are galvanized doors, and they do not rust. Now they weigh 60 kg for a single door. It comes in single, large, 1.5, and double doors. You can also order for special height doors. Their doors are made of galvanized steel, meaning it doesn't rust. Now at Weedy Locks, their keys are coded with 5 keys per door, which can never ever be duplicated. Now if you want peace of mind, security at home, your office, the bank, the warehouse, go straight to Weedy Locks to have a door that lasts so long without replacement. There's a special offer for architects, building contractors, and real estate developers. Contact them, visit their showroom at Kwahoma off the Daban Sokoban Road, or you can call them or send them a WhatsApp message to 050-87-777-55 or 0575-777-755. Weedy Locks, we protect what matters most to you. Now, so day in and out, we hustle and we grind to turn all our dreams into reality. Now, whether we are working hard, whether we are working out, we're studying in school, we're starting a business, whether we are into research like my gentlemen here are into, there's no place to go but to keep going up, doing better and improving upon yourself. But there are times in our day-to-day activity that our energy levels run low. What do you do? Well, let me tell you, fall on Lucozade. Yeah, Lucozade with glucose will restore your energy during your everyday routine. So wake up your vim with Lucozade every day and restore your energy. And this advert is FDA approved. Now, so let's talk about salt. What is with salt that makes people go crazy? And there are occasions, Dr. Apre, where Papa, we didn't bear bottle back once. Oh, you heard those? I mean,
I've heard, yeah.
There's a literal thing about. So we didn't check. We didn't. Salt is good, but just like electricity or like fire, it is bad as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, the thing about salt, as you rightly put it, is good. But what is good about it is just to give a taste, a sense of taste.
It had no nutritional benefits.
Well, you get some sodium out of that, like I indicated. But the amount of sodium the body needs is just about, like I said, the daily value is about 2,300 milligrams.
What does that mean? What does that mean? You mean like a teaspoon or something?
A tablespoon, like 6 grams, like a tablespoon.
A teaspoon.
Yeah,
the whole day.
Yeah, a whole day.
Oh, okay.
So that's all the salt you need.
So take it again for me.
What I'm saying is that the daily requirement is about 2,300 milligrams. In fact, the problem with salt is that the upper level is just around the same value. When you say upper level nutrition, the level that once you go beyond, you are into toxicity. So the daily requirement is very close to the upper level. In any case, the body just requires about 200, 300 grams of salt for 8 activities in a day. And then I've also indicated to you that these quantities you are measuring or you are talking about is just about 6 grams. And 6 grams is virtually like your tablespoon. But even then, you are not getting a lot of these salts from the salts you are adding to the food. I've already indicated that. Most of the bisulfates, all the preservative agents are very rich sources of sodium. Even tap water has some amount of sodium in there.
Okay.
So what I mean to say here is that even if you are not eating the salt for the sodium, there are other things that will give you the sodium. So in the nutshell, there's no need for salt at all. Yes.
So what is with salt that makes people get addicted to it? Let me put it that way. Or want more all the time.
It's additive like sugar.
Like sugar.
Additive like sugar. And then of course the taste buds develop and adjust to it. And so the more you are taking, the more your taste buds will require.
Is it difficult to change our minds on our salt intake, or is it difficult?
It is difficult, but it's possible. I mean, unfortunately people wait to be diagnosed with a problem before they change. But if you are diagnosed with hypertension, you are told that reduce your salt intake, people are able to stop completely consuming salt. So it is possible to really reduce your salt intake if you need to.
How does a tongue adjust to this? Again, it's a mind and a tongue
over time. The mind and the tongue over time. And
can you give a timeline to it? How long does it take for the mind and the tongue to adjust?
If you meet people who have had some illnesses and then they've told them to reduce or stop salt intake, they will tell you that within some months they were able to now adjust. Initially it was really blunt, but before time, 3 months, 6 months, they are fine.
I agree with that because I cook rice without salt. Anytime I cook rice, I don't add any salt. And when other people eat it, they are like, but I'm cool with it. Now, if I eat rice with salt, it tastes funny in my mouth. I don't like it at all.
So you cook the rice without salt, but you follow on the other
additives like the
soup.
Yeah, so I don't add any salt to my rice at all. But when I continue doing that, now if somebody cooks rice and adds salt, it's like what's the idea?
Did you decide to do this because of the dangers or because you were asked not to?
Because the Chinese people I work with, they cook rice without salt, so I kind of got accustomed to that taste. And then when I stopped working with them and I came home, I was like, I couldn't
go back to okay. So okay, I hear you on that. So salts, like you were saying, in our foods, we can do without them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because in the water we drink, we have some amount of salt.
Some amount of sodium.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
So, but that is kind of salt, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily need this. What are the dangers of intake of too much salt? What does it happen? What does it do to the human body?
So number one is hypertension. But let me also mention that the research shows that only 25% of the salt we take comes in from the table salt. Most of it's already added to the processed food. So let's put that in mind, that when you may say, oh, I don't even add salt, but then all the canned and tinned foods that you are using have salt, and that's 75% of the salt that we are consuming. Put that aside. Now, how salt leads to hypertension? Basically, sodium attracts water. So the more sodium you have in your body, the more water the body retains. And then when you increase blood volume, you also increase blood pressure, because you need more pressure to push the blood through the circulation. The other thing also that salt does is that it also causes the kidney to want to retain the water, so that you can keep the blood diluted enough because of the high salt that is in there. And so eventually your blood pressure is going to rise. When your blood pressure rises, we know that hypertension leads to the other non-communicable diseases that we have talked about. And so that is one of the biggest dangers of salt is hypertension. And like we said, it is the sodium that is coming from the processed food and also coming from the salt that we add. Many people have stopped adding salt at table, but then they are still consuming a lot of salt because of the processed food that they consume, and that leads to hypertension basically.
And these are sweet killers, huh? Yeah.
This is what.
Yeah. So
I'm saying these are sweet killers.
Sweet killers.
Yeah.
Sweet killers.
Sweet killers.
So someone told me that the life expectancy rate of mostly black people or Africans is dropping. At first it used to be 65, it's now 55. And comparing the foods that we eat, mostly in the dark side of the world, as to what the Asians or the Europeans eat, you can see the huge disparity. Our food is mainly starch and all the unhealthy stuff that you can think of, and then they also eat the healthier stuff. The reason I'm saying this is you can easily see the age difference. In Europe, a lot of 80-year-olds are riding bicycles. In Asia, a lot of centenarians. In Japan, you can find in one place where you can have more than 10 people who are over 100 years old, and that's very rare in here in Ghana or in Africa. In terms of our food intake generally, how do you think? What do you think needs to be changed? Whether it's processed or not processed, whether it's local or imported.
Recent Italy experience.
So my recent Italy experience, the portion sizes that we are eating in Africa is too much. The size of food is always big. Then the carbohydrate part, which is the staple, which is also what our main foods are, so the fufu and then the cooked rice and all that, the portions are much higher. He was asking about my Italy experience. I was there and I was sending them pictures. I mean, when you see the whole meal, that whole meal is a little fish, and that is it. That's the meal. But you and I, when you go see a mountain of rice, a mountain of rice. There's even no place to put the chicken. There's no place to, and they put a salad on a small bowl on top of the mountain. It's like, and somebody is sitting in front of it, they're eating all that. And now we've also changed even the bowls that we use. So the potoyua that we used to have a small one like that has become a very big one, and then you see that people will put all sort of meats on it, and it shows that like you have a high status, but it's the portion sizes that are so much compared to what we should be eating.
Our time is running out, so I would like for us to talk about oils as well, because we eat a lot of oils as well. But before we do that, we mentioned the salt intake, and you said rightly that it raises the blood pressure. It also damages the blood vessels. It brings about hormonal changes, inflammation, effects on the immune system. Your immune system is affected when you take too much salt. We're guided by that. It changes to gut bacteria, damages stomach lining, calcium lost from the bones. So your bones, it's all because of the salt. And that's how come when you're growing, you have to reduce your salt intake. It changes to fat metabolism. Drinking more sugary drinks because it makes drink more, sugary drink. It's affiliated to heart diseases, heart failure, dementia. It can bring to you stroke, chronic kidney diseases like Professor Anand mentioned, stomach cancer, osteoporosis, weight gain, and the pancreas is also suffering from some of these processed foods, isn't it? The pancreas.
Yes, it is.
So all these things is creating problems for us. We'll talk about what we need to change, how we can change, what we need to be focusing attention on and all that. But before we do, let's talk about oils. Now, I hear people often say that oils are dangerous to our health. We should use small amount of oil in cooking. So used to oil in 1 in 10 years. But in the days, our forebears or forefathers, they ate gobe. That's what we're doing now with the red palm oil. Some in other parts they will use the oil itself, and I'm not talking about red oil. I'm talking about groundnut oil, palm kernel oil. They used it even in eating beans. So how come you guys are raising red flags about the intake of oils?
Okay, so they ate oil, but the quantities that they were eating were much lower. Then also we know that some of the oils were saturated, but now also research is showing that the kinds of the palm oils and all that, the type of, even though they are saturated, they are medium chain saturated oils, so they are not as bad. So we are going back to them again, and so they ate oil, but they didn't eat as much as we are eating. Now maybe some 20 years ago, there was the whole big thing about polyunsaturated oils, which are from the vegetable oils, and people started using them. Now we are using them too much quantities, but the other thing also is that they also form trans fats, especially because we use and reuse. So heating and then heating and using creates trans fats that are also unhealthy for us. The big thing about the oil also is related to hypertension again, because they block the blood vessels, reducing the lumen of the blood vessels, and then causing the pressure to increase in order to push them and the circulation. And so oil is as bad as salts and also as bad as sugar. So the three culprits as far as non-communicable diseases are concerned, it's oil, sugar, and then. And
is it every oil? Because people say, oh, this is sunflower oil, this is olive oil, this is oil. Is it every oil that is dangerous, or there are some very good oils?
No, in fact, so the whole concept about oil, I don't want to go into the biochemistry, but we have two main types of oil. We have what we call the saturated and then the unsaturated. When we say saturated ones basically are the ones, those who know a little bit about chemistry, that have only the single bonds in there. Of course, we even make it a bit simpler. The saturated ones are the ones that would traditionally become fat. When you say fat, the difference between oil and fat is that fat is solid at room temperature, oil is liquid at room temperature. Okay, so the saturated ones are the ones that can easily solidify, if I should use that term, can easily solidify. And then the unsaturated ones will usually remain liquid over a longer period of time. Now, the concept is that the unsaturated ones are a bit healthier, of course, comparatively. By nutrition, we always say there is nothing like a healthier and a better option. Most of the time, it's about the content and the concentration, the amount that is being used. So at the end of the day, the calories we need from our oil is just about 25% of your total energy. What it means is that the total energy you need in a day, oil should contribute just about 25% of that. But the chances are that because we are eating it in higher quantities, then the oil tends to contribute more of our calories than the carbohydrate should have done. Of course, to make hypertension simpler, sometimes I tell my students, it's like washing an oil through your kitchen sink. You keep washing the oil through, One day your kitchen sink is blocked. Yeah. And then you need this, how do you call it, plunger to push it down. That is exactly. Just that the human being doesn't have that plunger to push.
It's
And so
it's our heart that is the plunger.
the heart is the
well,
plunger,
it
but
gets
then
tired.
the heart is, of course, also gets tired, and then once the heart starts giving up on you or using that excess force to push the oil through, that's the high blood
And
pressure.
unfortunately, some of the unscrupulous traders out there are also doing things to harm us. I mean, for example, the red palm oil.
Exactly.
They are adding Sudan 4,
Sudan 4 dye.
whatever dye in there.
So these are toxic substances they are adding. So it adds a
Worsening the
different-
situation,
worsening the situation.
So you can call us now on 03220 83596, 03220 83596 9798. You can call us now. We're talking about the foods, processed foods, and its dangers, the intake of salt, the intake of processed spices, and all that, killing us slowly, softly. It's just like Lauryn Hill's song, killing you softly. Yeah. So you can call us on 03220 83596, 03220 83597, and 03220 83598. Now, looking for quick and hassle-free loan with no collateral required? Look no further. CBG Smart Loan is designed to help your business access funds without collateral. With our SME Smart Loan, you can access a quick and hassle-free loan without collateral, comfortable monthly loan repayment schedule, collection services with our Sika Collect platform to save you the trouble of visiting the branch to make payments. Don't let financial constraints hinder your entrepreneurial dreams. Walk into any of our 114 branches
That
nationwide to
they should
contact
not-
to help you. You can also call them on 0302 216 000 for more information. Hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Dave.
Ken, how are you doing?
Blessed, how are you?
Well, I'm well too. Ken, let's hear you.
But yesterday, I wasn't comfortable with the fact that people were kind of blaming politicians. You see, when it comes to what you take in, there's no way you can blame a politician. It's like DDT. We all know, or scientists, research says DDT, concentrated DDT, let me put it that way, can cure malaria. But nobody will go near DDT and then say, oh, I want to take in DDT so I can cure my malaria. So with blaming of politicians, when it has to do with hospital infrastructures, with that one you can blame them. But food that you take into your system, what you take in, you have the power to control what you take in. So you can't blame them. You see, I was speaking to my biology teacher, okay, yesterday, when I was talking to him, he was like, the amount of ejection, okay, that comes out of your system, describe what you take in. So we have the power to control what we take in. And I'm also like, David, this thing, it should be something that we should keep talking about it. A lot of people know that when you take in alcohol, it destroys the system. So most people don't go closer to alcohol. But when it comes to sugar, the food that we take in, that destroys us. We are not talking too much about it. So education should come in.
That's why Love FM is here, and we've been educating you on some of these things for a long time, including yesterday and today. Thank you very much, Ken. SK, good morning. Hello, SK.
Yeah, David.
Hi, SK, good morning. Good to have you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, David. How are you doing?
Chef Samuel.
Yes, please. I've listened to the doctor yesterday and today. He has elucidated the harmful effects of our sugars and the salts and the oils. But I want to know if there is a way out, like there's a way forward. I was even finding out about any healthier option, one that is not as dangerous as the sugar. So I was finding out there are natural sweeteners. So I pointed out yesterday there is a natural sweetener called stevia, and also our honey. Are they slightly healthier than the sugar?
All right, so
those also cannot do away completely with the sugar. We can switch to the healthier options. I want to know, because the picture should not be painted bleak and gloomy.
That's good. I hear you. And don't worry, we'll conclude by telling you what people should do. So don't worry, SK, we'll furnish you with the right information. Thanks very much for calling. 03220 83596, 83597, 83598. If you're a pregnant woman and you want questions answered for you by as to what you need to be eating, if you are a lactating mother and you want to know what you should be eating, if you're an aged man or you have a grandpa to somewhere, or grandma somewhere, let's talk about what we should be eating, what we should be cutting down on, and all that. So let's do this right here, right now. Let's speak to Kofi. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, Kofi.
It seems every year we discuss this topic. And last year I asked a question. You did not like it, but I will still ask. Now, but before that, the leaf is not called Akuko Mesa. It is Akuko Besa. Chicken will get finished. So, yeah, can you, and yes, I will be tell what I say. So I know market Akuko Mesa, but it's Akuko Besa. Now, my question is, yesterday I listened to, was he a doctor or he was from KNUST talking about sugar in the soft drinks, and today they are talking about spices and the rest. My question is, have they published their findings in the newspapers? Have they written to GMA? Have they written to Ghana Health Service and to the extent Ministry of Health and FDA that this is what they have researched and find? And so let government do something about it, because it is about Ghanaians. If these things are not good for us, why don't we publish it for many people as possible to read it, and then we make noise so the government would make a policy?
I hear you, Kofi. I think yesterday we mentioned it. Maybe you missed it, but don't worry, we'll touch on it again for you. Thank you very much, Kofi, for calling. The number to call us on is 03220-83596, 83597, or 83598. Nana Kweku, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. How are you? My brother, you just portrayed this one that you don't know how to cook. Because the flavorings that they use in cooking the rice, they call it curry powder. That's what they use, and that's why you want to go to a restaurant and they say curry rice.
So did I even talk about curry powder this morning? I talk about nutmegs. I talk about the dawadas and co. Have you even talked about curry powder this morning?
No, you were saying the
and for information, if you and I should go on to a cooking competition, I'll whip you white blue.
You can't. You dare not. You won't. No, that's just by the way. And then this thing, you were asking a question. Why do the FDA allows it? But in business terms, probably there might be some amount that needs to be in food. Just as the man is saying, it's not that, and it's not something illegal. But let's ask ourselves, we are what we eat. So if we can then stop it, on our own free will, not that someone putting canes and rods over our backs that, look, stop eating this food. And then you ask another question that, look, why these things in this fluence or something added to this thing that will increase the shelf life? I'm talking of in business, the shelf life, let's weigh the thing to something that will last for just 6 months or 3 months by production to end, getting to the end user, might last something longer. So they add those flavors to this that will let it last longer. But please, we are what we eat. Let's stop eating this junk thing.
I hear you, Nana. Thank you very much for joining us. 29 minutes past 8. You can also join us 03220-83596, 83597, 83598. Godfred, good morning. We lost Godfred, so let's speak to our next caller. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Dave. How are you?
George, I'm well. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you, David. David, you know here do this soup.
But what's there, though?
What is killing saloon? Chicken meat. David, you buy chicken meat from the markets, and when you are eating it, the bone is like that of biscuit. You can crush the whole biscuit and swallow. I don't know what kind of chicken is that. So, David.
George, please call us back, George. Godfred, sorry, we lost you on the line as well. You can also call us on 03220-83596, 83597, 83598. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, boss. Please tell us your name.
Yes, sir. My name is Isaac.
Isaac, good to have you, sir. Let's hear you.
Okay. I want to commend you and your person at the studio this morning for the education. For me, the challenge we are even facing, as in we, those who are yet to marry the health workers, nurses, and those who have even already married them, they themselves, majority of them, they are not really serious about these health issues. And when you even listen to such topics and then you tell them about it, then they tag you with some form of things as if you fear death or anything. So if we should have such programs even treated to the health workers themselves, I think it's going to help us a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isaac, for joining our conversation. Let's go on to WhatsApp right now and hear what people are also saying there.
Good morning, Love FM. Good morning, David and the crew. My name is Gideon. I'm sending this message from UK. Please, I'm listening to you, and actually spices and this thing that we are using in our food is not helping. But David, in your earlier submission, you said in the olden days, those local fowls, that's the local fowls we were in the houses, they take say 9 months to 1 year before they develop, and comparing to the local currently what we have, 3 months, 4 months they are out, and that one is a change of technology. It's an improvement in technology. Then also you yourself compare your time when you were 6 years and compare your child who is now like 6 years. You can see your child has great muscles and looking fine than you. Your time, you were not eating well. We were not eating well. Meat are reserved for the old people. Currently, they are eating well and they are developing. So in a great, actually, improvement in technology, but we have not changed anything.
I hear you, and that's why somebody said the bones that they are chewing now is like biscuits, and we're feeding them with all manner of things in the feed.
Yeah.
And the feed itself has chemicals in there. The water they drink is mixed up with chemicals in there, boosting them to grow as fast as blowing a balloon.
But he said people are eating well now. I want to understand what he means by eating well. Is it eating more or eating well? I think there's a distinct difference between the two.
Sure, he can send in some rebuttal if he wants to.
If we were eating well, then we wouldn't have all this.
The disease conditions we're having. Yeah. Charlie, let's listen to another voice note and then we wrap up, please.
Good morning, David, and good morning to your listeners. This is Kojo from Bomso. Very interesting program you're having this morning. I have a problem with the regulators. There's one advert where it talks about a certain spice and says enemrim so yechi adewo asankam, and then a lady who was talking to the daughter said sorry, as in she's no more going to do that in Asanka. You understand? So we are encouraging the youth to move away from what our forefathers were doing. Adverts should be regulated in that they should not, for want of better expression, the old method of doing things, which is much more healthier. You understand? If you are able to say this on an advert, you have so many youth now stopping to do things in the correct way, the more healthier way, and they're more using these spices. Okay, so it is very, very important. It seems our agencies are not working; they are not up and running. Yeah, so that's my little bit.
Thank you very much, and we will not be able to play any more voice notes or pick some calls. But what we can do is we'll wrap up by asking our guests here to tell us about whether they've published these findings and stuff like that. Yesterday, I think I raised it, and you told me that you've taken it to the Ministry of Health and asked what has been done about it. But he wants some response. What would you want to say to him?
No, I would say that we publish all the time, and we also educate all the time, and we engage the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Services. We also engage the Food and Drugs Authority.
And that's why I asked that question. When you furnish them with these research works, what feedback do they give you? What assurances do they give you? what responses do they give you? That's what I was even asking yesterday.
Yeah, so Dave, one of the things that comes up mostly after research for me is a policy. And so our food environment, our eating, what we are eating, and all this regulation has to be governed by policy. And I must say that the NDPC is doing a lot of good stuff.
What is NDPC?
National Development Planning Commission. In fact, now what I think is that this National Development Planning Commission is more or less leading most of our policy development and then enactment. One positive thing is that some of us as researchers sit on some of these committees that are drafting some of these policies. And of course, you will not be able to have the ear of the politician there. But once the NDPC has been taxed to draft these policies, we get some of these results into the various policies that comes out there. Of course, at the end of the day, when these policies are out there, implementing the policy is also another discussion that has to be had.
What do you think it will take for us to get the policies implemented? What would it take to force the political hands to do the needful?
Well, there need to be always incentives for policies. One of the biggest things you do to get policies implemented is incentives. And as I indicated to you, when we spoke about the sugar, I said one of the things that gets the politicians hearing and listening is the fact that, hey, let's tax sugar. Because once you're able to tax that, it could more or less...
The intake will go down.
The intake will go down. And so there are certain incentives that they want to hear that you are able to use to get them. And once we use some of these policy incentives, you get them listening and
Prof, before you take leave of us, yesterday I asked you to do me a favor. I mean, so people are becoming obese, people are becoming hypertensive, we're spending much more time at the hospital, spending much more money, treating ourselves, because this cannot be cured. They are managed and treated. What figures do you have for me?
Well, so yesterday I found that compared with healthy adults, overweight people have 75% and obese people have 159 more inpatient admissions. Now, that's the cost of admission for a healthy adult is $35. For an overweight person is $78, and for an obese adult is $132. Then I also found out that overall it cost the health system over $169 million because of overweight and obesity.
Are we talking about Ghana or are we talking about elsewhere?
No, Ghana. This is all Ghana.
These are all Ghana.
These are Ghana. It's a research in Ghana. Okay. So it's costing us a lot of money. We can save over $100 million if we reduce overweight and obesity to substantial levels.
So if you're obese, overweight, you are creating a problem for us.
Exactly.
For the cost of the health
you're
cost.
affecting the economy, the NHIS and all that.
There's direct cost and there's also indirect cost.
Like you.
And there's labor that we are losing because you get NCDs, you cannot work again. And then if you die, then we also lose a cost of a life.
Leo, what
and just for a little statistics on the sodium. So it's also been proven through many research that if you're able to cut our sodium intake, when I say sodium, our salt intake by 50%, we can reduce the incidence of cardiovascular hypertension by about 20%.
Charlie, we haven't ended this. We'll be making time, call on you some more for us to have some more talks and conversation. So, Professor Anand, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then to you, Dr. Apre, thank you very much as well. We're getting ready to cross over to Joy 99.7, where we're bringing you the latest updates on Galamsey. Erasmus has been digging in. You'll be hearing from them shortly.
It's 8 o'clock, yeah, it's thick 30. I've been